All right, today we're going to try something, well, something pretty ambitious. We're going on a rapid-fire journey through thousands of years of Indian history, from the very first cities all the way to the fight for freedom. Ready? Let's do this. 4,500 years of history in just a few minutes? Can we actually pull that off? Well, challenge accepted. And hey, this isn't going to be some boring textbook reading. We're here to uncover the incredible story of India. Let's get into it. So where do we even begin? Let's rewind the clock, way back, about 4,500 years ago, to the subcontinent's very first cities. And what's absolutely wild is just how modern these ancient places actually were. We're talking about the Indus Valley Civilization. Now, I want you to picture it. This is the Bronze Age, right? But these guys had meticulously planned cities, houses made of uniform bricks, and, get this, their own private bathrooms. Yes, you heard that right. This was next-level urban living, thousands of years ahead of its time. So how do we know all this? Well, archaeologists have found some amazing sites. Harappa was the one that kicked it all off. Then there's Mohenjo-daro, which had a huge public pool they call the Great Bath. Lothal was a major port, complete with a dockyard for ships. And Kalibangan was a hub for artisans, famous for its cool black bangles. So, after those first cities faded, a whole new era kicked off. This is when things got really big. We're talking about the rise of massive, powerful empires that brought huge areas together and completely shaped the course of history. And one of the most powerful stories from this time is about a guy named Emperor Ashoka. He was a brilliant but ruthless conqueror. But after this one horrific battle, the Kalinga War, he saw the carnage and was so shaken that he did something no one had ever done before. He just stopped. He gave up war completely. He's literally the only king in history we know of who won a huge war and then renounced conquest. Next up, after the Mauryans, came the Gupta Empire, which is often called a Golden Age. Their ruler, Samudragupta, was such a military genius he earned the nickname the Napoleon of India. But it wasn't all about conquest. This era also gave the world a true game-changer. From a mathematician named Aryabhata, the idea of zero. Yep, that number that makes all modern tech possible, it all started here. Okay, let's jump forward in time to the medieval period. The old empires are gone, and now all eyes are on Delhi. A whole series of different dynasties ruled from here, and together they're known as the Delhi Sultanate. Now, trying to remember all 5 of those dynasties in order, it can be a little tricky, but don't worry. There's a fantastic little trick to help you out. Gul Kile Tosans Lo. It stands for the Slave, Khilji, Tughlaq, Sayyid, and Lodi dynasties. A super easy way to remember centuries of rulers. The whole Sultanate period came to a dramatic end in one massive battle. In 1526, the very last Sultan, a guy named Ibrahim Lodi, went up against an invader from Central Asia named Babur. And that battle, the first battle of Panipat, wasn't just the end for Lodi. It was the end of the entire Delhi Sultanate. It was the dawn of something new and even bigger. And that brings us to the Mughals. Babur, the guy who won that battle, started an empire that would become one of the most powerful and dazzling dynasties in India's history. They ruled for over 300 years. And hey, you guessed it, we've got another great memory trick for you. To remember the main Mughal emperors in order, all you need to know is one word, Bajasa. It's a lifesaver for keeping these guys straight. So, let's break it down. BHHJSA stands for Babur, Humayun, Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, and Aurangzeb. As you can see, their reigns take us right from the founding of the empire all the way to its absolute peak. And when we say peak, we mean it. Just look at the scale of this empire. At its height, the Mughal Empire controlled almost the entire Indian subcontinent. I mean, this map says it all. Their power was absolutely immense. Of course, an empire that big isn't built overnight. It was forged in some really critical battles. That first battle of Panipat got them started, and Kanwa locked it in. Later on, Akbar's major victories at the Second Battle of Panipat and Haldigati cemented Mughal power for generations. Okay, so we have to talk about Akbar. They call him Akbar the Great for a reason. And it's not just because he was a great general. He was a unifier. He treated Hindus and Muslims as equals, and even tried to start a new faith that blended ideas from different religions. He also got rid of a tax on non-Muslims, which was a huge deal for religious tolerance at the time. Now, Akbar's grandson, Shah Jahan, left a very different kind of mark. His legacy is written in marble and sandstone. They called him the Builder King, and he's the one we have to thank for some of the most famous buildings in the world. The stunning Taj Mahal, the mighty Red Fort, and the magnificent Jama Masjid in Delhi. The last of these great Mughals was Aurangzeb. Now, under him, the empire actually grew to its biggest size ever. But here's the irony. His super strict policies and nonstop wars drained the bank and sparked rebellions all over the place. So the empire's absolute peak was also the exact moment it started to fall apart. As the Mughal Empire weakened, a new power was waiting in the wings, the British. And their arrival kicks off the final chapter of our story today, the long and difficult struggle for India's independence. And if there's one date you should remember from this period, it's 1857. This was the year a huge rebellion erupted against British rule. It's often called India's first war of independence because it was the first time so many different groups of people fought together against a common enemy. It was a real turning point. Moving into the 20th century, the freedom movement gets its most famous leader, Mahatma Gandhi. You can see the key moments here. His first big win for farmers in Champaran, the iconic Salt March where thousands marched to the sea to protest a British tax, and finally, the massive Quit India movement. But you know, Gandhi's path of nonviolence wasn't the only one. You had other powerful leaders like Subhash Chandra Bose, who had a much more fiery message. His famous call, "Give me blood and I will give you freedom," inspired a whole generation of people who wanted independence no matter the cost. By 1942, the pressure was at an all-time high. And even Gandhi's message got a lot more urgent. For the Quit India movement, he gave the people a simple, powerful slogan: do or die. This was it. There was no going back. This was the final push. And just like that, our whirlwind tour is over. We've gone from the incredible city planning of the ancient world to the stunning art of the Mughal emperors, to the powerful ideals of the freedom fighters. So I'll leave you with a question to think about. Of all these amazing legacies, which ones do you think still shape the India we see today?